Live from Utah's CW30, ABC4 News at 7 starts now.
Good evening. Thank you for watching ABC4 News at 7 on the CW30. I'm Lena Takata in for Courtney Johns. Tonight we start the show with our top 7 stories at 7 p.m. We begin with the 3rd Judicial District Court judge granting a temporary restraining order blocking Utah's abortion ban from being enforced for 14 days. This comes after the Planned Parenthood Association of Utah asked for an emergency hearing seeking the temporary restraining order. Representatives for Planned Parenthood Association of Utah say due to the trigger law going into effect last Friday, the organization was going to have to cancel abortion services scheduled for more than 55 patients this week. In the hearing, plaintiffs argued the abortion ban violates the Utah Constitution, even if the right to abortions have been revoked under the U.S. Constitution. Utah's abortion ban would make most elective abortions unlawful except in rare instances where the mother's life is in danger or there's certain fetal deformities or the pregnancy was a result of rape or incest.
In terms of the balance of the harms, I think the balance favors the plaintiffs here. I think the immediate effects of that will occur outweigh any policy interest of the state in stopping abortions immediately.
It has allowed us to begin today serving women and pregnant people who made appointments a week, 10 days ago, to resolve a pregnancy. And while this case moves through the courts.
The next step is a hearing for a preliminary injunction, which should happen in the next few weeks. And a Utah lawmaker is claiming election fraud. This started with a social media post from Republican Representative Phil Lyman. In the post, he claims he had several reports from people saying their in-person vote for Senator Mike Lee was changed to Becky Edwards. Both of them, along with Ali Isom, are running for U.S. Senate. Lyman's post says, quote, "The only option for in-person voting is to use voting machines at the county, which prints a receipt showing your votes. I'm told the printed receipts reveal this unauthorized shift. More concerning is the possibility of vote shifts even after the receipt is printed. The machines are programmed with functionality to do exactly that. Switch votes. We're finding evidence that the software absolutely has a backdoor." Senator Lee, Becky Edwards, and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson responded to this claim. Edwards applauds the voting system here in Utah and adds it's one of the best in the country.
This may be how people deal with the uncertainty of the outcome of an election in D.C., but this is not how we do things in Utah. We have some of the most safe and secure election processes anywhere in the country.
Senator Mike Lee also responding to this, saying, quote, "As we look forward to Election Day, our campaign has every confidence in Utah's elected county clerks and the Lieutenant Governor's office to oversee free and fair elections. We thank them for their service." Also, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson addressing this, saying, quote, "The problem was a result of a small font size on one of the ballot marking machines. In Wasatch County, where the complaint occurred, fewer than 8 voters have used the machine in question. Individuals who use the machine have 3 chances to verify and correct their ballots. Every voter who used the machine in question was able to cast a vote for their preferred candidates in the end. The county clerk has now corrected the issue by increasing the font size." And with Utah's primary elections tomorrow, votes are already being counted to determine which candidates will move forward to the November 8th general election. Ballots have already been sent out to all registered and active voters. If you still have your ballot, you should drop it off at a Dropbox location before tomorrow night at 8. If you have not registered to vote, you can do it in person at the polls tomorrow. To learn more about the candidates, we have a list on our website at abc4.com. And as your local election headquarters, we'll keep you updated on the political races throughout our state, both on air and online at abc4.com. The Supreme Court dropped a major ruling that affects the fate of prayer at school. In a 6-3 decision, they ruled a former football coach has a constitutional right to pray on the field. The Supreme Court deciding a government entity cannot punish someone for religious observance. But leaders on both sides of the issue still disagree.
They do have a right to religious expression. They do have a right to their religious identity, and they can't be treated as second-class citizens just because of that.
Freedom is not the right to use your power as an agent of the state and a public school coach to impose your beliefs on students.
Americans United warns parents that students may feel compelled to participate in religious practices as a way of fitting in or winning the approval of school staff. And here in Utah, local and state leaders responding to the Supreme Court's ruling. Representative Jordan Tushner saying, "Great decision this morning by the court," and quoting the majority decision, "The Constitution and the best of our traditions counsel mutual respect and tolerance, not censorship and suppression for religious and non-religious views alike." Whereas Utah's House Minority Leader Representative Brian King said after the ruling, "Hard to overstate the degree to which SCOTUS has damaged its institutional credibility these last few days." Davis County Jail opens a new medical wing. Today, ABC4 News got an inside look at the facility. The new unit is replacing a nearly 30-year-old medical wing, first opening in 1991 to address minor medical needs. The new facility has 5 times the capacity, including special cells to quarantine patients with infectious diseases, including COVID-19.
It eliminates the need for us to move inmates out of the facility and take them to a hospital or a clinic where they can get treatment, because we can do a lot of that treatment here in-house now, so it improves public safety in our community.
Sheriff Sparks adds the new wing is more equipped to address issues he says are becoming more common in the incarcerated population, such as mental health and substance abuse problems. There's a $100,000 reward now being offered in the case involving Dylan Rounds. He disappeared nearly a month ago and is the focus of tonight's Missing in Utah. The 19-year-old had his own farm near the town of Lucien in western Box Elder County near the Nevada border. He was last heard from on May 28th when he called his grandmother, and after that has not been seen. The Box Elder Sheriff's Office is now calling it a missing persons criminal investigation, and the FBI has now joined the efforts to find him.
You know, somebody was finally listening to what Justin and I had to say and our concerns and picks up their phone. You know, that's been huge. I could text this person, they'll pick up their phone, they respond.
The $100,000 reward is for any information that can lead to his whereabouts and to hold those responsible for his disappearance. More on this story on the next hour on Missing in Utah. A military canine will be calling Utah home now that he's officially retired. Today, K9 Toby landing at the Salt Lake City International Airport to reunite with his handler, U.S. Airman Stephen Goff. The two served together for 3 years at Moody Air Force Base in Georgia before serving in Kuwait. Goff says Toby is a well-known war dog because of his well-mannered and relaxed demeanor, and he's happy to reunite with his old friend as they both start a new journey together.
And now with the journey that he has ahead of him, it's going to be nothing but couch life, chilling, having other dogs to play with now.
This reunion was made possible thanks to Mission Canine Rescue, a nonprofit group that helps rehome, rehabilitate, and reunite retired military dogs with the handlers they serve with. And still ahead, President Biden is meeting with world leaders to discuss the war in Ukraine, what this means as Russia steps up its attacks on the country's capital. And as we head to break, here's a live look towards downtown Salt Lake City on our doTERRA camera. Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy has your full weather forecast when we come back.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
Happy Monday in northern Utah. It was hot and hazy. We saw those temperatures climbing as you saw earlier this evening. If you looked across the valley, a little bit of haze. That's not a surprise. The Ghost Chute fire is burning just west of Wendover, and you can see it's putting out a little bit of smoke. Our wind's carrying that smoke and allowing that haze to kind of push in to portions of the Wasatch Front. We also know wildfires down in south central Utah, pushing that smoke to the eastern side of the state as we get through the next couple of hours. So it's not your eyes. Nope, don't be surprised. The haze is definitely out there and something we will continue to battle with this very active fire season. We were tracking storms because isolated activity was out there today. Temperatures climbing way above average in the north. We do have increasing winds bringing some fire danger. We're going to look at those storms. Speaking of wet pavement in Blanding, as one of those thunderstorms kind of rolled through, sun was shining, but yes, we got a little wind and some wet weather in the Four Corners area. Not a surprise. That monsoon setup is there and that flow really dominating eastern, central, and southern Utah. Now we get a little bit of a weak front that comes through Tuesday into Wednesday, and as a result, we will see some additional storms. Storms this evening focused on eastern Utah over I-70 with lightning and isolated activity in the southern half of the state. For tonight and into tomorrow, things quiet down, but then daytime heating helps amp that back up. Now, the big headline tomorrow will be the heat as Salt Lake goes for triple digits again, but it comes with the chance of those storms, especially later in the afternoon and evening as that front comes through. It really will trigger some of that and bring the potential for some nocturnal storms. This is the model, 11 p.m. heading into Wednesday, and then Wednesday stays pretty active. So we have the chance of flash flooding increasing as well as thunderstorms throughout a bulk of the state, central, eastern, southern Utah. But you can't rule out Salt Lake County because the model wants to bring that a little further north, so the potential is there. Now, dry thunderstorms always spark that fire concern, and that's there for tomorrow. Not all of the moisture will hit the ground. It could evaporate, and as a result, any lightning strike could set off another wildfire. We want to avoid that. Bryce and Capitol Reef looking at the possibility of flash flooding. That could expand for tomorrow. Really does on Wednesday and into Thursday. We're going to see that threat go up. 90s and triple digits in Salt Lake. We see those on the eastern side of the state as well. We get 90s along the I-15 corridor, and it gets hot. Now, you find your city as we zoom in. Notice those mountain valleys hitting the upper 80s. Park City will be beautiful. 95 in Tooele, close to 100 in Ogden, so the heat will be on in northern Utah. Now we have the potential for those storms, and in central portion of the state, we've got 80s and 90s, and the heat climbs. Look at Green River, close to 100 degrees. Gunnison, Fillmore, all going to be in that mid-90 range, so it's going to be another hot one. Triple digits down south, Kanab with the 90s. Lake Powell will be flirting with the century mark. Depending on elevation, you'll see 80s or 90s. So our higher elevations up there near Bryce Canyon only in the 80s, but cloud cover and the threat of storms will be there. Here's a look at the next 7 in Washington County. Triple digits for the next 6. And then as we make it to the 4th of July, we'll see those upper 90s. And we know that that brings the heat of the potential of some cloud cover moving in with the threat of storms. Here's a look at the Wasatch Front. Slight chance Wednesday, Thursday. Temperatures staying above average. Tomorrow, hottest day of the week, 101. 4th triple-digit day of the season. We usually average 4. We're going to hit our average very early. To stay on top of the changing forecast, especially during monsoon season, download that ABC4 weather app. Take a picture of this QR code with your camera. Takes you right to the App Store. You can download for free, and that way we can be there for you.
And now to the G7 summit, where President Biden is meeting with key allies. Front and center, the war in Ukraine as rescuers search for survivors after a devastating strike on a shopping mall in the center of the country. This morning, Ukrainian President Zelensky met virtually with G7 leaders requesting more air defense. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan confirming that the U.S. is finalizing a package of an advanced air defense system for Ukraine, along with ammunition and artillery and counter battery radar systems. ABC's Karen Travers is traveling with the president and has the latest from Telfs, Austria.
The war in Ukraine at the top of the agenda today for President Biden at the G7 summit. President Zelensky speaking virtually to the president and key U.S. allies. Monday, a suspected Russian missile strike hit a shopping mall in central Ukraine. Rescuers searching for survivors as the Ukrainian presidential office claims over 1,000 civilians were inside the mall at the time. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan telling reporters Zelensky's #1 request during the summit was more air defense.
At the top of his mind was the set of missile strikes that took place in Kyiv and other cities across Ukraine, and his desire to get additional air defense capabilities that could shoot down Russian missiles out of the sky.
Those Russian airstrikes on Sunday on residential buildings in the capital of Kyiv, leaving 1 person dead and injuring 7. President Biden telling me
more than barbarism.
Zelensky's request for air defense will be met. The Biden administration announcing today it will send Ukraine an advanced surface-to-air missile defense system that can hit targets 100 miles away. The administration also announcing additional military aid, including artillery ammunition and counter-battery radars. The U.S. is also committing $7.5 billion, part of a larger G7 effort to help the Ukrainian government with immediate budget issues. President Biden and the G7 leaders also keeping up their pressure campaign on Russia, closing in on a plan to implement a price cap on Russian oil to try and force down its price, the latest attempt to cut off Vladimir Putin's ability to fund his war in Ukraine.
The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade looms large over President Biden's trip. Several of the leaders he's meeting with have publicly criticized the ruling. I asked the president on Sunday if they had brought it up with him. He said no, it's not related to Ukraine and the issues being discussed. Karen Travers, ABC News, Telfs, Austria.
And coming up, travel trouble in the friendly skies. What this means if you're looking to get away by car this summer. Welcome back. We turn now to more travel trouble for people trying to get away for summer vacation. Lines at the airport are growing longer, and so is the list of canceled flights. But there's some good news if you're planning to drive. ABC's Rhiannon Ali has more.
This morning, growing concern about 4th of July travel chaos after the first official weekend of summer turned into a nightmare for some flyers.
It was on time the whole time, and then next thing you know, I get a notification on my phone, flights canceled.
Airlines canceled more than 700 flights yesterday alone. Delta canceled more than 200. The airline blames compounding factors, including weather and air traffic control issues. An airline lobbying group is calling on the Biden administration to address staffing shortages at air traffic control centers, which are run by the FAA. According to Business Insider, Airlines for America recently wrote to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, saying air traffic control issues contributed to at least 1/3 of recent flight cancellations.
For me, I think if you can't handle these flights, then just don't book them, because this is very frustrating being stranded at an airport.
Air travel is only expected to increase through the summer. The TSA screened more than 2.4 million passengers Friday, the highest daily total since February of 2020. As for people driving to their summer destinations, gas prices are finally on the way down, dropping more than 8 cents in the last week, thanks to an increase in supply. Drivers in Los Angeles have seen prices drop for 12 consecutive days. And experts say the national average for regular gas could drop another 20 cents by the 4th of July, barring any unforeseen events.
We could see gas prices shoot up if there is a major disruption in the form of a hurricane or other refinery outage.
Gas prices will still be the highest ever for a July 4th holiday. The national average right now, $4.90 a gallon. Rhiannon Ali, ABC News, New York.
A $300 million super yacht that the U.S. seized from an alleged Russian oligarch sailed into San Diego Bay today. The yacht, known as the Amadea, is 348 feet long, features a helipad and a swimming pool. The U.S. Department of Justice says it was owned by a Russian gold investor who used U.S. currency and U.S. bank accounts to pay for the support and maintenance of the yacht. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, agents with the FBI and DOJ have ramped up locating sanctioned Russian authorities. It's unclear how long the super yacht will stay in San Diego. And turning to consumer news, companies behind several apps that women use to track their menstrual cycle are changing the way they record user data. Smartphone apps like Flow and Natural Cycles now say they're moving to make the data anonymous. That in the wake of the Supreme Court decision reversing Roe versus Wade, and as some app users fear data from those apps could be used by prosecutors in states banning abortion. Now to the best moments of the 2022 BET Awards. And what a night it was. So many inspirational live performances and some crazy surprises, while the Supreme Court ruling also took center stage. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the highlights.
The biggest night in Black entertainment, a sparkling golden Lizzo kicking off the 2022 BET Awards. Actress Taraji P. Henson hosting for a second year in a row. The night all about celebrating Black culture.
We're going to celebrate, recognize, and honor us and everything that we do.
But abortion rights quickly taking center stage.
A weapon that can take lives has more power than a woman who can give life if she chooses to.
We must celebrate our art by protecting our right and our truths.
This is not just a woman's issue. This is everybody's issue.
The night full of surprise performances and collaborations.
And I can put you in.
Rapper Jack Harlow and R&B legend Brandy.
Don't call me Brandy no more, call me your highness. Built tougher than my brother Ray J glasses.
One of the biggest surprises.
Hold up, got Mimi on the remix.
Best New Artist Lotto teaming up with the Queen, Mariah. And BET showcasing Pride.
The category is Culture's Biggest Night!
Pose star Billy Porter bringing that iconic ballroom culture.
We're here! We're queer! Get
The BET Awards saluting the bad boy himself, Sean Diddy Combs.
I'm going down. I'm going down.
All-stars in hip-hop and R&B like Mary J. Blige honoring the legendary rapper, music executive, and producer. Even a masked Ye, Kanye West.
This man has been through and survived a lot of stuff and broke down a lot of doors so we could be standing.
Making a surprise appearance to present Diddy with the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Life is important, and we ain't here just for ourselves. We're here for our ancestors.
Once again, the BET Awards celebrated historically black colleges and universities. Diddy pledging $1 million to his alma mater, Howard University here in D.C., and another $1 million to Jackson State in support of its football coach, Hall of Famer Deion Sanders. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
And coming up, claims of election fraud just one day ahead of Utah primary elections. How state leaders are responding to these allegations.
Live from Utah's CW30, ABC4 News at 7:30 starts now.
Today, a 3rd Judicial District Judge Court granting a temporary restraining order blocking Utah's abortion ban from being enforced for 14 days. This comes after the Planned Parenthood Association of Utah asked for an emergency hearing seeking the temporary restraining order. Representatives for Planned Parenthood Association of Utah say due to the trigger law going into effect last Friday, the organization was going to have to cancel abortion services scheduled for more than 55 patients this week. In the hearing, plaintiffs argued the abortion ban violates the Utah Constitution, even if the right to abortions have been revoked under the U.S. Constitution. Utah's abortion ban would make most elective abortions unlawful except in rare instances where the mother's life is in danger, or there's certain fetal deformities, or the pregnancy was a result of rape or incest.
In terms of the balance of the harms, I think the balance favors the plaintiffs here. I think the immediate effects of that will occur outweigh any policy interest of the state in stopping abortions immediately.
It has allowed us to begin today serving women and pregnant people who made appointments a week, 10 days ago, to resolve a pregnancy, and while this case moves through the courts.
The next step is a hearing for a preliminary injunction, which should happen in the next few weeks. And Senator Dan McKay, who sponsored Utah's trigger law, releasing a statement tonight on the temporary restraining order saying, quote, statistically, 8.2 babies are aborted every day in Utah. Sadly, Judge Stone sentenced 115 babies to death. It's disappointing that a law meant to protect the most vulnerable, the unborn, is delayed by one judge with no support in the law. I'm confident that Utah's abortion ban will be upheld and we can work to support life. And in your local election headquarters, a state lawmaker is alleging election fraud one day before the U.S. Senate primary. He posted on social media saying there have been several reports of this. Republican Representative Phil Lyman shared a post late last night alleging election fraud. He says he has had several reports from people claiming their in-person vote for Senator Mike Lee was changed to Becky Edwards. Both of them, along with Ali Isom, are running for U.S. Senate. ABC4's Jordan Burroughs is following this story for us tonight.
The state is one day away from the 2022 primary election, and it comes with controversy, this time with the U.S. Senate race.
The people of Utah are, rightly so, concerned when these kinds of allegations are perpetrated about a race like this, the U.S. Senate primary race, which matters tremendously to the people of Utah.
These allegations stem from Representative Phil Lyman's social media post. It says he has had people tell him their votes for Senator Mike Lee had been changed to challenger Becky Edwards. It says in part, quote, the only option for in-person voting is to use voting machines at the county, which prints a receipt showing your votes. I'm told the printed receipts reveal this unauthorized shift. More concerning is the possibility of vote shifts even after the receipt is printed. The machines are programmed with functionality to do exactly that, switch votes. We are finding evidence that the software absolutely has a backdoor.
This may be how people deal with the uncertainty of the outcome of an election in D.C., but this is not how we do things in Utah. We have some of the most safe and secure election processes anywhere in the country.
Edwards says she wants Mike Lee to condemn these claims. We reached out to Senator Lee and his team, who told us, quote, as we look forward to Election Day, our campaign has every confidence in Utah's elected county clerks and the Lieutenant Governor's office to oversee free and fair elections. We thank them for their service. We also reached out to Lyman to ask if he could prove these allegations, but he did not respond. However, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson did. Her office is responsible for overseeing elections. They told us, quote, the problem was a result of a small font size on one of the ballot marking machines. In Wasatch County, where the complaint occurred, fewer than 8 voters have used the machine in question. Individuals who use the machines have 3 chances to verify and correct their ballots. Every voter who used the machine in question was able to cast a vote for their preferred candidates in the end. The county clerk has now corrected the issue by increasing the font size.
That was ABC4's Jordan Burroughs reporting. And according to the Heritage Foundation, which has tracked voter fraud since the 70s, there have only been 1 case of voter fraud that resulted in criminal charges in Utah. It was in Daggett County in 2008. Again, the primary election is tomorrow in Salt Lake County. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And police are still searching for the suspect in a years-old drive-by shooting at the Provo Missionary Training Center. The shooting happened in 2020. Police released this video shortly after the August shooting. They say the driver of this car pulled up to the MTC entrance, got out, and fired several shots at a guard inside the security booth. The car is described as a white or silver Subaru Outback. And if you have any information on this case, you're asked to call Provo Police at the number on your screen. A $100,000 reward is being offered to help find Dylan Rounds. His family is posting the reward in hopes someone knows where he is. The 19-year-old disappeared on Memorial Day weekend, and there has been no sign of him since. For every missing person, there's a family, and for them, the search continues. Here's ABC4's Marcos Ortiz with tonight's Missing in Utah.
In addition to the $100,000 reward, the FBI is also joining the investigation, all in an effort to help find Dylan Rounds, who's been missing for nearly a month. This is one of many searches done for the family of Dylan Rounds. His mother joined authorities to search along the Nevada-Utah border. 19-year-old Rounds had his own farm near the small town of Lucin in northwest Box Elder County. Rounds was last heard from on May 28th when he called his grandmother. A month has nearly passed since that call, and his mother is frustrated.
Stuff like this doesn't happen without people knowing. They're just not talking. You know, they're not talking, and, you know, just, it's like, just come forward. Just somebody tell us something. Some direction. We have no direction right now.
On Memorial Day weekend, his family arrived at the farm. They found his truck. It hadn't been moved, but his mother found it odd that it had been power washed. His boots were found a short distance from the farm property, and they're now being analyzed. Box Elder Sheriff is treating this as a missing persons criminal investigation. It's something the family asked from the very beginning. And the FBI has also joined the investigation, which the family finds very helpful.
Somebody was finally listening to what Justin and I had to say and our concerns and picks up their phone. You know, that's been huge. I can text this person, they'll pick up their phone, they respond.
The family increased its reward to $100,000. They're seeking any information that can lead them to Dylan and to hold those responsible for his disappearance. A private investigator believes something criminal has happened to him.
Something of foul play happened to Dylan. There's no reason. He was excited to be farming there. His crop was about to, come to fruition for the very first time, so he was excited.
There was a man who was bloody and asked Dylan for a ride. It was days before his disappearance, but his mother doesn't believe he had anything to do with the disappearance. The private investigator isn't convinced.
Unless they can definitively prove that that individual had nothing to do with this, it's too strikingly coincidental to be meaningless.
Somebody knows, and it's more than one somebody. I think there's multiple people who know what happened to Dylan, but nobody's talking.
If you know something, say something. Links to the Dylan Rounds Facebook page as well as Box Elder Sheriff's Department can be found by clicking on this story on abc4.com and follow the links. For Missing in Utah, Marcus Ortiz, ABC4 News.
And coming up, we're counting down to our 75th anniversary as Utah's first TV station. Craig Worth has more on a landslide that rocked Spanish Fork Canyon. And as we count down to our 75th anniversary as Utah's first TV station, we're taking a look at some of the biggest stories many shared as part of the TV generation. One seems ironic now as we are deep in a drought that has drained rivers and parched the land. It's the story of when the ground was so wet that a mountain fell down and created a lake that reached 170 feet deep. It also pretty much wiped out a town. Craig Worth remembers.
This is Spanish Fork Canyon, a peaceful vista of mountain scenery. Well, part of that beautiful vista fell down April 13th, 1983. It was a landslide that wouldn't quit sliding no matter what anyone did.
It's moving something like 1 to 2 feet an hour.
Crews worked 24 hours a day trying to pack it down, trying to do about anything, but it just kept growing from pressure below. In a seemingly unbelievable few days, the slide reached 130 feet high. Worse, it dammed up the lazy little Spanish Fork River, which was little no more. It made a reservoir 90 feet deep within days, and it all kept getting bigger. Just ask the senator.
It's just far bigger than you can realize from any reports or pictures that you get.
Ask anyone who was working on the slide.
Such a massive amount of earth that is still moving. The earth we're standing on is moving.
And the reservoir shoreline also grew. The town of Thistle was now in that growth. 4 days later, it was time to move. No, not just move, it was time to run. And it all kept getting worse. Now pretty much all was flooded to window level. And a day later, only roofs were showing. And the water kept coming and coming. It was one of the wettest winters ever, and it was all rising to the surface. Officials turned to the best weather computers around. Nothing seemed to fit any model. The state geologist said that there was nothing like it at any time.
There are anomalies that we're trying to examine.
Meanwhile, the bulldozers kept bulldozing. And it goes without saying the road was closed, for it was over 100 feet down and also in the lake, now 130 feet deep. And what about the train tracks? Well, Utah's coal was also not moving. The tracks were now under the mountain and the lake. The Denver and Rio Grande Rail made a diversion tunnel. The state figured out it needed to build around all this. But meanwhile, the lake was now 170 feet deep, with a pretty nasty shoreline. The next solution was to pump and pipe. The pumps were put on a barge. Now these were not small pipes and pumps.
We have 5 centrifugal pumps. Each pump pumps approximately 22,500 gallons a minute.
And that's pretty much how they got rid of 14.5 billion gallons of water. So today, if you travel through what was Thistle, you will see some strange sights. They are remnants of Lake Thistle. See, nothing like this should have ever happened in Utah. And you wonder, just as our officials wondered. After all, this is a pretty dry state. And it would cause Governor Matheson to give us one of the best quotations of all time. This is a hell of a way to run a desert. Sure, you will see parts of the slide from a road that was built anew, and you will wonder, how did this all end up underwater? What happened was pretty much summed up by the newspaper. Once a town, now a lake. And if you didn't have the pictures, you just couldn't have imagined it today. For as we know, in Utah, near record snowfall plus warm weather can equal floods. And this certainly was the extreme case. Craig Worth, ABC 4 News.
Thanks, Craig. As we head to break, you're taking a live look towards St. George this evening. We'll have your full weather forecast when we come back.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
Happy Monday. In northern Utah, it was hot and hazy. We saw those temperatures climb, and as you saw earlier this evening, if you looked across the valley, a little bit of haze. That's not a surprise. The Ghost Chute fire is burning just west of Wendover, and you can see it's putting out a little bit of smoke. Our wind's carrying that smoke and allowing that haze to kind of push in to portions of the Wasatch Front. We also know wildfires down in south central Utah, pushing that smoke to the eastern side of the state as we get through the next couple of hours. So it's not your eyes. Nope, don't be surprised. The haze is definitely out there and something we will continue to battle with this very active fire season. We were tracking storms because isolated activity was out there today. Temperatures climbing way above average in the north. We do have increasing winds bringing some fire danger. We're going to look at those storms. Speaking of wet pavement in Blanding, as one of those thunderstorms kind of rolled through, sun was shining, but yes, we got a little wind and some wet weather in the Four Corners area. Not a surprise. That monsoon setup is there, and that flow really dominating eastern, central, and southern Utah. Now we get a little bit of a weak front that comes through Tuesday into Wednesday, and as a result, we will see some additional storms. Storms this evening focused on eastern Utah over I-70 with lightning and isolated activity in the southern half of the state. For tonight and into tomorrow, things quiet down, but then daytime heating helps amp that back up. Now, the big headline tomorrow will be the heat as Salt Lake goes for triple digits again, but it comes with the chance of those storms, especially later in the afternoon and evening as that front comes through. It really will trigger some of that and bring the potential for some nocturnal storms. This is the model, 11 p.m. heading into Wednesday, and then Wednesday stays pretty active. So we have the chance of flash flooding increasing as well as thunderstorms throughout a bulk of the state, central, eastern, southern Utah. But you can't rule out Salt Lake County because the model wants to bring that a little further north, so the potential is there. Now, dry thunderstorms always spark that fire concern, and that's there for tomorrow. Not all of the moisture will hit the ground. It could evaporate, and as a result, any lightning strike could set off another wildfire. We want to avoid that. Bryson Capitol Reef looking at the possibility of flash flooding. That could expand for tomorrow. Really does on Wednesday and into Thursday. We're going to see that threat go up. 90s and triple digits in Salt Lake. We see those on the eastern side of the state as well. We get 90s along the I-15 corridor, and it gets hot. Now, you find your city as we zoom in. Notice those mountain valleys hitting the upper 80s. Park City will be beautiful. 95 in Tooele, close to 100 in Ogden, so the heat will be on in northern Utah. Now we have the potential for those storms, and in central portion of the state, we've got 80s and 90s, and the heat climbs. Look at Green River, close to 100 degrees. Gunnison, Fillmore, all going to be in that mid-90 range, so it's going to be another hot one. Triple digits down south, Kanab with the 90s. Lake Powell will be flirting with the century mark. Depending on elevation, you'll see 80s or 90s. So our higher elevations up there near Bryce Canyon only in the 80s, but cloud cover and the threat of storms will be there. Here's a look at the next 7 in Washington County. Triple digits for the next 6. And then as we make it to the 4th of July, we'll see those upper 90s. And we know that that brings the heat of the potential of some cloud cover moving in with the threat of storms. Here's a look at the Wasatch Front. Slight chance Wednesday, Thursday. Temperatures staying above average. Tomorrow, hottest day of the week, 101. 4th triple-digit day of the season. We usually average 4. We're going to hit our average very early. To stay on top of the changing forecast, especially during monsoon season, download that ABC4 Weather app. Take a picture of this QR code with your camera. Takes you right to the App Store. You can download for free, and that way we can be there for you.
now take a look at the new world's ugliest dog. His name is Mr. Happy Face. His owner says he's the ugliest but the most lovable. Mr. Happy Face and his owners won $1,500. Thanks for watching.